Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to our fourth episode of FIA Talks. I'm super excited about this one, y'all. So, as we all know, it's graduation season. Shout out to class of 2022. I myself am a part of it. Um, but this one's is really just special podcast for me because I have some amazing youth leaders who are recently graduated as well. So before we get into what we're going to be talking about today, let's do a quick little recap of our last podcast. So in our last podcast, we had some amazing students from Latitude High School where we talked about the importance of voting, right? And in that conversation, we talked about how important it is for our Oakland youth to really be knowledgeable about what's going on in these upcoming November elections, which is where 16 to 17-year-olds are going to be able to vote. So our students were just going into like why this is important and really like why it is important at such a young age, especially since our younger generation of voters from when we think about it, like 18 to 29 really vote at such a low percentage. So this is a really big opportunity for us to build that habit of voting, especially at a young age for some of our youth. All right. So that being said, let's go into the topic of today. So today we're going to be talking about college, and especially for our first generation college students who are on this call right now. What to expect and what they're excited about. I myself, being a recent first generation college student, I just graduated from San Francisco State University. So big shout out to all my 2022 graduates again. And if you're not already, go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at FIA Oakland. Again, I'm your host, Javier Barraza, and let's get into it. So, we have a couple of our youth leaders. We have one youth leader who's running a little late, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce JoJo, and I'm going to introduce Luciana. What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Hey,
Hi.
feeling good, and
Oh,
you?
I'm gonna need some more editing than
Huh?
that.
What's
This
up?
is this is an exciting podcast. So,
That's right.
all right. So first, let's get ahead and introduce y'all a little bit. So let's just do a name, all right, your school, and
hmm
then I know like a lot of people have some really funny like yearbook graduation quotes. So I want to hear if y'all have any. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with JoJo.
Hey, my name is Jojo Griggs, and I'm currently will be going to CSU Eastway. I recently graduated from Lighthouse Charter Community School, and my senior's quote was, "It's about that time."
Um,
That was good. How about you, Luciana?
my name is Luciana Peña, and I am a graduate from Oakland Unity High School. And my senior quote was, "We did that because we."
Wait, so say it again. Say it again.
My senior quote was, "We did that."
We did that, y'all. This is crazy because like you know the class of 2022, class of 2021, and even next year's graduation class, like you guys have experienced something crazy, right? How many years of high school did you guys like lose due to COVID?
Like a year.
A year and a half. How about you, JoJo?
Like 2 years and a half.
2 years and a half. That's crazy. Like I myself, I think it was a year and a half or almost 2 years of my college experience, right? So we lost a good, like a good portion of our experience of either high school or college. Like that's crazy. That's something that we're gonna have. Like that's an experience that a lot of other people aren't gonna have because of it, because of what happened, right? So let's go ahead and go into the first question, and hopefully Karla can join us as we go on. But I'm gonna stress this so much during this podcast episode. The fact that everyone on here is gonna be a first generation college student or a first generation college graduate like myself, right? And like Karla as well. So each and every single one of you are going to be a first generation college student. What does that mean to you? But also, what does that mean to your family? Luciana, you want to go first?
Yeah. So,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
so to me, to be a college student, first time college student, I feel like I'm supposed to be excited. I'm finally gonna further my education. It is exciting, but I'm actually really nervous. I
Mm,
definitely feel pressure to perform well. My parents didn't get the luxury to continue school, so they're really learning with me. We're going to college together, basically. So I am extremely nervous, but I am very blessed to be getting the opportunity, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without my family.
Awesome. I love that. How about you, Jojo?
Well, I'm feeling very excited to finally be going to college and being a first generation of students to be in college as well. Because my parents wasn't able to go to. It's like going to be a fun and exciting thing too. While I'm also a little nervous about like financial wise and whatever else is going to be on.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's a big change, right? Because, like, well, first of all, each of you say where you're going to next year, if we haven't already.
I'll be going to Cal State East Bay.
Okay.
I'll be attending Sacramento State.
Perfect. So you guys are still staying in the area somewhat, right? But you guys went to school. We went to schools here in Oakland, which for the most part aren't as big, right? You kind of get to know everybody in your class, unless you go to like a really big school, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to a college where it's a whole new environment. Like you're meeting people from all over California, and even people from other states. At some point, like country, because I used to like take some classes from some guys who were like from England or something like that. So you're meeting a whole different people, and it's a different experience, right? So it's like something you got to get used to, but it's also really exciting. And
Yeah.
you two are like so social already, especially from being involved through here. Like y'all are gonna kill it.
Hopefully.
Jojo looking serious. What's going on, Jojo?
Nothing much, just chilling.
But like I'm excited for y'all, and this is why like this podcast episode is really important to me, and also like I'm so proud of you two, especially being able to know y'all for either more than a year, right? Um, Being able to see how much y'all have grown so far, and just excited for y'all like reaching this milestone in your life, but also what y'all got ahead of y'all, right? It's exciting.
Mhm.
Cool. So let's get into question number two real quick that I got for y'all. All right. So with many schools in Oakland having low A through G completion rates for our students, right? And for example, one of our I think our second episode, we really went into A through G, and through a research that Energy Converters led, they were able to talk to 446 students from Oakland, and in this survey, they found out that for Black students, only 35% of students completed their A through G requirements, and for Latinx students, only 47% completed their A through G requirements. Right. So this means that so many students, just like you, in your same footsteps, coming out of Oakland, who are Black and brown, didn't have the opportunity to attend a four-year college, right? So I want to know, like, how does this make you feel? But also, like, what message do you have for those students who might not have that opportunity to go straight to a four-year college? Because in all honesty, their school either failed to create that pathway for them to complete their A through G completion, and just weren't able to do it. So how do y'all feel about it? Let's start with
Um,
you, Jojo.
I feel pretty like shocked and disappointed in the fact that the schools are failed to support the students and helping them in order to get ready for the HHD, or at least telling them about it, or giving them tools to help and supply with them. But doesn't mean like they still won't be able to do what they want to do. Community colleges still help with like with you what partially what you want to do. You can still go to community college for nursing, electioneering, electrical, etc. It doesn't mean you gotta give up. You could just have a new start. You might start a little
Mhm.
slower than others, but you can still be able to go to community college and transfer over to a 4 year college.
Exactly, I love that, and I mean that really resonates with me, Jojo. So um, at the end of my senior year, like I had the opportunity to go to, I was gonna go to UC Santa Cruz, right? And college is expensive, y'all. Like especially at like UC, without really having a good financial aid package, you like I was I think have to pay around 8,000 per, I think per school year, right? So that's a pretty good amount of money. Um, and for me, the easiest route was, going to a community college, right? And I think a lot of students who, don't get the opportunity to go straight to a four-year college get a little bit discouraged or get a little bit unmotivated because of that. And it's fair, especially when you're at your senior year, right? And you're gonna and you're excited to apply to a four-year college, but you don't know that you're not gonna be able to because of your A through G completions and because they weren't completed, right? So it just goes to show, community college is still a way to do it. And I myself was able to knock out 2 years at Merit, right? Knocked it out and transferred to SF State. Like, you owe it to yourself. Just because your school didn't create that pathway for you, right? And they failed you, don't give up, right? You owe it to yourself to go to a four-year college and get that education, and make Oakland proud. Make Oakland proud when it comes to it. So go ahead. We got Karla joining in. Karla, you want to quickly just introduce yourself, name, school, and if you remember, what was your yearbook graduation quote, if you remember?
My graduation, what?
Your graduation quote. Like your yearbook, you put like a little quote in the bottom of your picture.
In your quote.
Okay. Well, it kind of cut off because, yeah, sorry, everyone. Like, I am not at home. But my name is Karla Bonilla. I am a first generation student at UC Berkeley. Just finished my first year. And I graduated at Oakland Unity High School, class of 2021. So, and I'm very excited to talk today about college and college experience and any type of, I guess, any type of wisdom that I can give to people who are going into college. So I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome, that's amazing. Cool. So the question that we're on, Karla, and we're gonna pass it on to Luciana right now, right? It has to do with A through G and how many students, like the data that we use right now is that for Black students, only 35% completed their A through G requirements, and for Latinx students, only 47% completed their A through G requirements, right? And this came out of the research that Energy Converters did. So, this means that a lot of students in Oakland basically aren't going to have the opportunity to go straight to a four-year college. And I want to know how you guys feel about this, and then what message do you want to send to these students? So let me go ahead and pass it on to Luciana first.
Yeah, so I agree with Jojo. It is very frustrating because the fact that Oakland schools are depriving students of basic resources that are needed to attend a four-year college, it's upsetting because every student has the potential to do it, and it can't be done alone. So we need to rely on our Oakland schools. So it's very upsetting that they're not giving us the resources we need. But a message to students who have been failed by their schools would be to not give up, because it's not something that can be done alone. And when your school fails you, it doesn't mean you need to give up on yourself. Instead, go seek the opportunity that should have been offered to you. And and yeah, the only change that can be made is using our voices. So definitely don't stay quiet about it.
Yeah, that's perfect, and it goes into what we want for A through G as an organization, right? One is dumping the D, right? One is the right to know, which is like we need our parents, we need all of our students to know what the A through G requirements are. There's still so many students and parents that don't know what it is, which is crazy because it's such an important part of your child or yourself or yours high school journey, right? You need to get those A through G courses completed with the C or higher, and a lot of people don't know that. And last part of our A through G demands is right to remediate. All right. So that being said, let me go ahead and pass it to Karla. What do you want to add into this, Karla?
I think that, first of all, the data, I think it's very concerning to see how many Black and brown students are being failed by
It sounded like Karla was about to
their
spit some fire. And
own schools.
hold
Did
on,
I cut
hold
off
on.
for a minute?
Yeah, dude, it sounded like you were about to spit some fire, and you got cut off.
Okay, let me rephrase. I was saying that it's very upsetting to see how many students are being failed by the system and the schools that the parents entrusted for them to be given those opportunities. So, like Luciana was saying, it is very upsetting because they have the potential. Every single student, every single person has the potential. But the fact that some schools don't choose to believe that is upsetting, and then we get results like this. So I guess my wisdom to them, or like my something that I would like to say to them is again to not be discouraged, and that there is other ways than just a 4 year school, like a 4 year college. A lot of people take the route of a community college and end up transferring to a 4 year university, and they end up graduating, from universities that have like a very high rate of graduation, or that their name is very out there. So I think that the most important thing is to never be discouraged and to take advantage of the resources that are given to you or that you can find or that are around you. Like I said, just like working harder, working hard to achieve the goal that you want, because it's definitely achievable.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you. And I don't like one thing I definitely appreciated when I was in high school, and what I would learn is like it's so much easier to transfer out of a seat. Like you don't have to have as high as a GPA to transfer out of community college to like one of the top UCs, right? And I know like as a high school student, you have to have like a 3.8, 4.0, but really high GPA to get into some of these like top UCs like Berkeley, right? Um, but to transfer out, your GPA, like what you need is a lot lower. So it's also like a good opportunity. Like just because you didn't have the opportunity to go straight to a 4 year college out of high school, doesn't mean that you still can't go to one of these top like institutes. Well, after your first 2 years of college, right? After your first 2 years of CC, and I know like the transition, in my opinion, is a lot easier. So like me myself being a product of community college, right? The process is a lot easier because you're going into classes that are a lot smaller. You're seeing people from your community, so you're not being exposed to this huge like campus right off the bat. It's easier to talk to your teachers, easier to set up meetings with counselors at times. So it's a little bit easier of a transition. So I think it's definitely a good opportunity, but it still hurts to see that some students, um, you know, get disencouraged and don't want to go to a 2 year college, or don't want to go to a community college because they feel like they're a failure. In all honesty, they feel like they failed, but in reality, that's not the case. Anybody want to say anything on that note before we move on? No. All right, perfect. So, last question that we want to really touch on, y'all, is what support did you receive during your junior or senior year in order to get to the point that you're at right now? All right. So, Karla, you want to jump on this question first?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest support systems was the help from the counselors that we got for when it came to applying to the universities. I think it was, first of all, it was a very overwhelming process just right off the bat. So anyone who like did it by themselves or didn't have as much support, huge props to you, because it's definitely such a stressful process, especially when it comes to all the essays, all the writing, and getting just everything perfect while still trying to shine your personality and your experience and where you come from. So I think definitely that was one of the biggest support systems during my senior year, was the amount of help that we got from our counselors, and just how much they were staying on top of us like every day, just trying to make sure that we were on the process of getting everything right, that we were signing up also for financial aid, and that we
Mhm.
were aware of scholarships and signing up for scholarships that that we were interested in. So I think that was one of the biggest support systems, and I was very, very grateful to find that the high school that I went to. Yeah.
Awesome. Jojo, you want to go next?
I would also like to agree with Carla that one of the biggest support system was like the counselors, because they made it really easy. Like the things that like we would have did it on our own, we probably would have been stressed out more. And like with them helping us and walking through it and telling us what to do. And also we got at my school personally, we had like other places and other institutes like One Goal to come in and help us support us and they will still continue supporting us through our first year of college as well as over the summer to help us get to know it and what to make sure we're doing everything with helping with school supplies and etc.
Perfect. Wait, so did you say like even after even in your first year of college, you're gonna get help from your high school? Is that what you said? Well, that's dope. That's pretty cool. How about you, Luciana?
Yeah, what you mentioned, teachers were very helpful. As much as I look to my family for support, they couldn't really help on something they're not as educated on, college applications. So yeah, my school has been very helpful, um, especially during the pandemic. Even to this day, they're still sending us scholarship opportunities. So my school has been very helpful.
Dude, them like college applications were low key stressful. I remember that process. That, but financial aid was even worse. Like I remember in high school when we would have like periods where this was more like right at the beginning of the school year when we would have like an hour session devoted to just like our financial aid and then our applications. And I remember that process being so stressful, not knowing my social security, not knowing like not knowing like simple information. I remember like I had to be on the phone with my mom, like calling her for information. Like, did y'all have to go through that? Bro, I had to call my mom and be like, yo, what's my social? Like I just didn't know. And it's like, imagine like I could not imagine me doing that whole process as like a first generation student, right? Like our parents don't know about this. So, I know like one of the things that you have to do for your financial aid is create an account for your parents and yourself.
Yeah.
My parents don't even have a Gmail, so I had to use like one of my other emails to do that. So it's like, that's when it's like you really have to own the fact that you're a first generation student, college student, because it's a lot harder, right, to get to this point. And and I think for us being able to, graduate, and I know y'all are gonna graduate, y'all better kill it in college. But once you get to the point where you walk the stage, and even future, like if y'all have, family, or if y'all have your own family, or if y'all have, younger siblings, like you're raising the bar high already, right? Now it's like, dude, I'm gonna help you get to this point, and I want you to achieve even higher, right? Whether it's I want you to get your master's or whether I want you to get your doctorates, right? But whatever it is, like I'm gonna push you now because you have the support, right? We're as a first generation college students, graduates, we're setting pillars to grow on now, and that's what it's really all about. Y'all with me? Y'all agree with that?
Yep.
Perfect. So, anything on this question that we want to add on? Cool. So, Karla, I know you had a question for them. You want to go ahead and ask that, or you want me to ask it for you? Ooh, I don't think I'm asking for her. So, basically, a question that Karla had came up with was, going into your first year as a first generation college student, what are you guys either nervous about or what are you guys excited about? And then what are your expectations?
Um, I'm pretty excited about living on the dorms because that's what I'll be doing for the first few years of college, and then like the expectations of it really is that it's going to be expensive, like really expensive. Even like the my own personal college advisor told me that I will be needing to like withdraw some money just to support some of the things I'll be doing.
Do you know like East Bay? Like, do you know? And not like we don't have to go super like into the details, right? But with staying on campus, how much is the total like financial aid? Not financial aid, the total amount tuition that you have to pay for let's say the first year. Do you know that?
Um, Around I would say like 12.5K.
That's a good amount. How much? I see Luciana get a little bit nervous. Man, tuition is expensive, y'all. My tuition, I was not staying on campus, right, for SF State, was about I think 4,000, a little bit over 4,000 per semester, right? Was it per semester? Yeah, but that's not including what like financial aid covered. So financial aid did cover a portion. Like my financial aid did cover a portion of it, but still, like it's difficult, right? Um, but what else besides the financial aid part, besides the financial side of it, Jojo? What else are you excited about for your first year of college?
Like really getting out there and getting experience, like making new friends, getting deeper into my major that I want to go into, and just trying to have fun, enjoy these few years before I really start heading to adulthood.
Dude, I loved it. I'm so excited for you. You want to share what major you're in for as of right now?
I'm gonna be doing nursing.
Oh, that's dope. Big shout out to JoJo. Maybe when I'm sick one day, you're gonna help me out, JoJo.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, how about Luciana?
So I'm actually very nervous for the transition into college because I myself, I'm a person, I rely on my family so much for support and reassurance. And, I'm going to college, so I'm going to be away for them. So I hope I can adapt well, or if you guys have any tips on how I can rely on myself to really encourage myself and push myself to want to do good without my family.
Carla, what do you think?
Well, something that I would like to say is just obviously to not be discouraged to where you're going. Am I back?
Yeah, you're here. You're here. I think like I know like when I was when my so when my older sisters went to college, Luciana, so that they stayed. One went to San Jose State, and then the other went to Fresno State, right? And my oldest sister who went to Fresno State, she I remember like she was staying on campus, right? Of course, like Fresno's super far, but I remember she was like she would miss like my parents so much. She would miss the family so much. She would come so often, and to come back was not cheap. Like I think she would come on Amtrak, and it was like $100, say like every week when she wanted to come back. And I remember at some point my parents were like, "Yo, like you gotta stay over there because it's expensive." But it's still like it's a little bit new, right? Like it's something that's new, and I personally can't touch on it because I commuted to SF State, so I still stayed with my parents through that process. But I know for some students, like it's a big, like adjustment or reality check in some sense of how much of a support system our parents are. And Carla, like you being first generation at one of the bigger schools, right? How was that first year for you? Being living on campus, maybe not seeing your parents as much. How was that experience for you?
So moving to Berkeley, obviously, even though Berkeley's like 20 minutes away from Oakland, obviously I did not live with my parents anymore. Cost was a lot higher than obviously if I would have been, with my parents. And it was definitely very difficult starting to live the first few months without, especially the very first thing, the economical support from your parents. That was very hard because obviously like you need to find a job, and on top of that you need school, and on top of that you need to pay on top of your classes. But I think it's very important to just not, I think it's very important to not be discouraged, even though it may be hard. And the most important thing is obviously to expand as much as you can. Find people who are like you, are on the same boat, who have the same experience as you, and just explore as much as you can and take advantage as much of the resources as you can. It is very hard. It is very sometimes discouraging for a lot of people, but obviously remember what your end goal is and why you were there, and that you are very, very fortunate that you've got accepted. So just, keep fighting and just never get discouraged and look at your end goal the whole time, even though it may be difficult.
That was great. Luciana, feedback. How do you feel about that?
I feel more confident. I feel confident in school. I need to remember those things. I feel like I'll be okay.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think like your parents, right, are investing in each of you, right? So it's not just a like an emotional toll on you. It's also an emotional toll on your parents, right? Who are gonna be dropping you off, probably gonna start tearing up. You're probably gonna be crying, hugging each other. I'm getting a little bit sad as well as we're talking, but um, it's an investment on you. So for me, it's like and I think you see a lot of like first generation college students. You see when they graduate, like they give their parents like the whole graduation stole. They gave them the cap, and I think like it's a sign of respect, and it's a sign of like gratitude as well. Because at the end of the day, you're not only doing this for yourself. You're not only gonna get that diploma for yourself, but you're also doing it for your parents, right? Who um, they never, being a first generation student, like they've never got to experience that or seen that, especially at the university or college level. So it's really like something you got to own and make sure that at the end of the day, you're rooted in why you're doing it and making sure that the end goal is putting that graduation stole around your parents' neck, right? Um, Cool. I mean, I'm loving this. I'm loving it so far. It's really like like I said, I just graduated 2 weeks ago now. So being able to put that graduation stole around my parents, graduation cap on my dad, it was really like a good experience that I will remember. Right. So I'm definitely excited for y'all to get to that point, and y'all better get to that point. Y'all better get those 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it takes, get through it. All right, y'all. Can y'all promise me that?
Yep.
I want y'all to promise me that.
Yeah, I promise you that.
All right, love it. Cause I'm gonna be in contact with y'all. Y'all not getting rid of me.
Nope.
All right. So let's go into our closing. Okay. We've had an amazing conversation. It's been 30 minutes, y'all, and it went like this. So I know Carla's struggling a little bit with being stuck in traffic, but also probably her Wi-Fi or whatever it may be. But let's go into the closing. Okay. So what questions? And we kind of already talked about this, but like, what questions do you have for college, for either Karla or myself? What questions do you guys might have right now?
Well, just the transition. That was really it.
So that again, you kind of cut off a bit, Luciana.
My biggest question was the transition, just relying on myself, being independent from my family.
Okay. And I think don't be afraid to seek help. Honestly, like there's I think as like myself going into my first year at even as my first year at SF State, right? Which I was already a junior at the time, right? Going into SF State. But even then, like I was already at a point where like I didn't feel like I needed to join anything. But you still kind of get a sense of like, damn, I'm here and I'm not getting to know other people because it's kind of hard to meet new people in college if you're not involved in certain things. So I think one piece of advice I would give, and I'll pass it on to Carter right now, is like, don't be afraid to seek help. Don't be afraid to join different clubs that you might find interesting where you can meet other people. All right. So, Carla, you want to give any advice on the transition part for Luciana?
Yeah, I think that in terms of transition is again holding on to, like your family like very close, like still obviously like keeping contact and try to, rely on them for as much support as you can. But I do also agree with Javi, like don't be afraid to put yourself out there. In college, literally you need to become like very social in order to create what it is, networking. And something that a lot of people, including professors, have told me is not about what you know, is who you know. As long as you have really good connections in college, you will get like a lot more opportunities, especially opportunities from your major when it comes to job internships programs. So like I said, and I'm sorry that I got cut off before, like signal is actually kind of really bad, but meet people like you who are in the same boat as you, who probably come from communities like you, from schools like you. But also don't be disencouraged to, meet people who are completely different than you, who maybe come from a more privileged background or who are maybe international students, who are upperclassmen, who are not just necessarily your year, because just creating that sense of community within college is going to make the transition so much easier. A lot what happens with a lot of people, especially a lot of people that I knew that were first years, is that they isolated themselves so much that they actually ended up not really liking their first year because they would not put themselves out there. And so obviously being away from your family and not finding someone, that you can rely to be friends with, that made their first year very hard. So like I really, really encourage for you to put yourself out there. Literally, I think the hardest thing that someone can say is no to you, and you can just say okay and walk away and try again. So I like, again, and I'll forever say this: don't be disencouraged to put yourself out there, and like take advantage of as many opportunities as you can.
I really appreciate that, Karla, because so like one of my close friends, who graduated the same year as me, right, was also at Berkeley. Um, and he was like on like a full ride. Like we really got set up with some scholarships, got set up with financial aid, and his first year, he completed his first semester at Berkeley, got really good grades, but he felt like you just said, Carlo, like lost. He didn't feel like he belonged there, and I feel like a lot of students coming from like community like ours, right? Coming from communities like Oakland, where it's very rough, where you're so used to seeing people who are very much like you, who come from similar backgrounds, who have experienced the same violence that kind of goes on here in Oakland, right? Like going into a school where you're meeting people from different communities can be a little bit of a culture shock, and you can sometimes feel like you don't belong. And so I really appreciate what you're saying, Carla, because I feel like if my homie would have like found that bubble of people who are like him, I feel like he would have been able to complete and got that diploma from Berkeley, right? But I know like a lot of students don't make it past that first year of college because of that same reason. So I think it's super important to really take that advice from Carla, and you
Yeah.
know and also just like something I love to tell my students is like really own the room, own the campus, walk like you own it, right? So wherever you're at, you guys should be way ahead than a lot of students because of the work that you're doing here with FIA. So you guys be confident in talking about yourselves, be confident in sharing your story, and be confident when it goes to talking to other people. Okay.
Another thing that I will say is that, yeah, what you were saying, I didn't know that it had a name, but it's called imposter syndrome. You feel like you're literally like isolated, you're like outlawed, that you don't belong there because you see obviously all of these people who are privileged and that got there, with so much help or with so much more advantages. So a lot of students do end up feeling like they, like, oh my God, I can't believe I made it here. Like, maybe I shouldn't have accepted here. But just remember that you were chosen for a reason and that these schools believe in your potential. So that, you should put your like best like self out there in every way possible. Every single class that you go to, like, you are representing not only yourself, but you're representing Oakland. And with
Hmm.
that, you are also, like I said, like you're owning, like you were saying to you, you're owning the room, you are putting yourself out there. And like if the school believe that you are capable of doing it and that you have the opportunity to go there, like, again, just try the best to remember that you are there for a reason, that you were chosen, and that most importantly you chose to go to that school, and nothing should ever discourage you for that.
Exactly. How about you, Jojo? Any questions you might have?
Like college wise, like did you like how did it go for like your first few years? Like were you excited, nervous, and like what did you all do?
You want to go first, Carla?
Sure. So my first year was actually very good. I was able to find a really good community within Berkeley that helped me kind of, get through college. Because my first year, obviously, high school classes comparison to going to a room where you're taking a class with 500 other kids is very intimidating, especially because maybe you don't know even how to sign up to classes or where your classes are at. So, like, obviously, like, all of those things can get to your head. But I was so lucky to find a community and like a really good group of friends that were able to help me. But for the most part, I was very excited to just kind of, dive in to a classroom that was more than just 20 people and kind of see, how the professors taught and what were discussion hours or what was the lab or, like what were all of these little things that I've always heard about. So I think it was just my own curiousness that kind of, helped me get through a lot of times, but also, like I said, a really good community, a really good group of friends. How about you, Javi?
I mean, yeah, for me, like I remember really being like being on my own. And that's what I really remember from my first year of college. Um, but like also having a little bit of like fear as well. I think it's natural to be a little bit nervous, a little bit afraid. Um, but I think always remember how important it is to socialize with people and get to know other people. So I think for your first year, like and like I said, like you guys being involved with FIA, you guys are already meeting students from other schools, and the fact that each of you are confident talking to other people you don't know. Each of you, for the most part, have spoken in front of people in a public, um, public space, right? So it's like you guys already have that confidence, and that's something that I didn't have my freshman year of college. So you guys are gonna be way ahead of where I was my freshman year of college, right? But definitely socialize, get to know the people, and don't be afraid to go to counselors. I'll say that. That's something that I wish I had done a little bit more. Go into like your college counselors, setting up your classes with them. I think it's called like your. Oh, I can't remember what it was called now. Like your basically like all the classes that you need to take in order to graduate, but also for your major as well. All the classes you need to complete your major. So I would say, yeah, definitely take advantage of the college counselors. They're free. You're already paying for them, so you might as well use them. Cool. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap up this episode? No? Perfect. Well, again, I'll just say like how really proud I am of each and every single one of you. Karla, you knocked out your first year of college with breeze. Maybe not with full breeze, but you knocked it out, girl. Jojo and Luciana, you guys are gonna, like I said, you guys have completed a big milestone in your life. There's already so many people that are proud of you, including myself. And I know, like, I'm gonna still be checking in with y'all throughout these next 4 to 5 years, whatever it may be. Super proud of you guys all, and that's a wrap for our FIA podcast for tonight, y'all. And one thing I want to say is that we're trying to make a better habit of really having these podcasts more than once a month. But as of right now, we'll definitely have a podcast next month. And yeah, I hope everybody tunes in. All right, y'all. That's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.
Peace,
Thanks for
everybody.
having us. Bye.
Appreciate you all.
Bye, all.